is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host, Ruel Abadam. How's it going? Thank you for being here. If you are a return listener, what's up guys? Thanks for coming back. And for the new listener, welcome. This silly show. So anyways guys, why don't we start things off? What is cooking? So, I'm going to talk about it's sort of it isn't I don't know if it's a true dish. It's sort of a variation or inspired by this dish. It's called inspired by a dish called sarsiado, which is a Filipino dish, which is basically a fried fish, maybe a fried fish of some sort. Whether it's the whole fish, a half fish, or a filleted piece of fish, or a steak cut piece of fish. It's basically fried fish, and it could be fried fish for the dish, or fried fish which had been leftovers from just having maybe some fried fish the day before. And so what the dish does is it takes the fish, right? So you set it aside, but in a pan you basically saute a little bit of cooking oil. In this case, it's last night I had a little bit of leftover bacon grease, which is not traditional, I don't think, for this dish, but just a little bit of bacon fat, but not a whole lot of fat. But I wanted more fat to be in the pan, so I put olive oil in there. And then sauteed some onions and tomatoes. Obviously, you slice them up, get them nice and tender, and then and garlic. Mince some garlic, throw it in there. That's typically the trio of things, like in some styles of cooking or cultures, their sort of saute trio is like carrot, celery, and onion. For me, growing up, I've noticed it's typically things like garlic and onions, and then tomatoes. So get those nice and tender, and then throw in the fish, right? Get the fish all integrated with all of that. The flavors of the oil, which now has the flavors of the garlic and the onions and the tomatoes, seasoned salt and pepper, and it's looking really good, looking really happy, and you think, maybe that's all there is. But no, that's not all there is. Now you get an egg or two, and you sort of beat the egg, all right? And then you pour the beaten egg into the pan with all of the fish and the vegetables and tomatoes, and you allow the egg to sort of scramble all around these ingredients. And that's pretty much it. It's not an omelet because everything is sort of all broken up. So it's sort of like a fish, onion, tomato, garlic scramble, sort of. And you can put as much egg as you want. You can put as much of anything else in there as you want. So yeah, that's what's cooking. Still on a roll in the family. And I'd apologize for my voice feeling and sounding in my ear a little off. But it is 8:47 in the morning, and I'm out and about. I need to drop something off at the post office and drop off a package to somebody in town. Anyways, so yeah, about family. We got news yesterday that somebody who had come by the house had somebody come by the house. So why would you have somebody come by the house? Well, somebody that comes by the house certain days in the week comes to the house and does sort of like a behavioral therapy thing for someone. And I don't get into details of any of that, but what happens is there's protocols, this day and age, masks, gloves, whatever, distancing, sanitizing. And so anyways, which is all good, which is all great. But we got news yesterday that that an individual who had come by the house had it'd be 11 days ago, had been at a get-together, and they had found out at some point that someone at that get-together, probably a relative, had been tested positive with the virus, right? So then that puts this person who comes to the house in a situation where if they were not properly protected, then they need to get themselves tested, and all that good stuff. So this was 11 days ago, when the person that we've been in contact has been in contact with somebody who has been tested positive. And since then, the individual that we come in contact has been in contact with us these 4 different times. And to be honest, because we've had this person around so frequent, we weren't so strict about, when the individual comes to the house, about, wear your mask and wear your gloves and things of that nature. It just after a long while, individuals, and this is where it's tricky, right? It's like individuals you see sort of regularly almost feel like they're part of the family. They're a normal fixture or part of the setting. And things like the masks they don't even register, especially for our family when we're actually in our home. We're not thinking about, okay, wear the masks in the house, right? So the mask becomes the furthest thing from our mind, and then yeah. So anyways, so now we get this word that the person that we've been in contact so far 4 times since they've been informed, we're putting a halt on physical visits, and since then my wife and I have just yesterday signed up, set our appointments for ourselves to get tested. And it's one of those things where you get the appointment and you drive up to a specified place, and then someone rams something up your nose and gets what they need, and then you're good to go. So we'll see what that's about. It's concerning. Not worried about having the kids tested because, one, they're not going to be able to sit still as someone rams something in their nose. And two is, if my wife and I get tested and we can stand there to get something rammed up our nose, it's a good enough indication whether or not there's COVID in the house, right? Yeah. So I'll be back. I got to drop something off in the post office. I do have my mask on, so I am protecting the world. Do you need a website? If you're an individual, a consultant, a group, or small business and need a site, or maybe you have an existing site, I can help. How about graphic design? Do you need a design for a t-shirt, logo, product, business cards? Maybe you need help with designing and developing a brand. I'm not an expert, but I do have the tools and the techniques to get the job done. How about a podcast? Yep, like this thing. This thing's a silly little show. Are you looking to set up a podcast of your own? Are you looking to reach an audience? Promote your business via podcast? Well, Abadam Studios. That's right, Abadam Studios. Yeah, so that's Abadam Studios. AbadamStudios.com, AbadamStudios.com. Check it out. All right, I'm back. So, did I get exercise today? Yes, I did. I'm proud to say. What did I do? I ran. I jogged. I walked. Briskly. Zone 2. I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be fit. Try to eat right. Be strong. Lean down. That's the gist of it. What I'm not doing, and I really should do, is cut out the booze. But what I am doing is I'm trying to cut down on the booze. It makes it sound like I really overdose it, but I really don't overdose it. I like to enjoy my way at the end of the day. Just a nice I got cut off. Just a nice glass. No more than about, I don't know. They say a proper pour is approximately 2 fingers. But I don't know. So that's it. If I could if I could stand to still enjoy the alcohol, and that being the only thing left for me to sort of tune, optimize or tune as far as health, fitness, conditioning, then I'll do that. But I want to see if just some regular exercise and keeping things clean on the diet front is gonna cut it. And if it doesn't, then yeah, I'll tweak. Jeez Louise. Yeah, so what was the run like? The run was around a field, kind of a track, not really like a legitimate track, but it was around a big field in a park. And I think I only went in for about, maybe just 40-45 minutes. The idea was I would have gone in for a whole hour, but the reality is, when my youngest needs to use the restroom, then it's either my wife that's going to do it or I'm going to do it, because we have a whole sort of
setup situated at the park with, like devices and hammocks and folding chairs and mats. So, I can't be running loops while my wife abandons all of our stuff, because who knows, someone might decide to come over and lay in our hammock, sit in our chair, use our devices. Yeah, awesome. So that's that. Alright guys, I'm back. Fast forward, and on the run, let's see, last week I did 3 runs around the track. I might have mentioned it in the last segment or 2. And then I'm in a new week. It's a Monday as of this segment, and it would be, and I ran around the track again. I only went for a half hour, zone 2. I noticed there was a little bit of a challenge trying to kind of get through it and maintain zone 2, and I think heat may be a contributor, or maybe the fact that I'm also really out of shape. I don't know. I had a better time at it on last Friday, and just this time it was a little different. I think I'm just gonna say it's a little bit of both, that it was hot and I suck, so it's okay. So the goal is at least get 3 of these runs in a week, play around on the track. It's a lot of effort, because having to lug a whole bunch of equipment just so that we have a level of comfort at the park. When I say level of comfort, I'm talking about 1 or 2 tents, 2 or 3 hammocks, a couple of folding picnic chairs, and a picnic blanket, and all sort of hauled into a specific spot where we have access to trees that are in close proximity from each other, so we can hang the hammocks. They had to be hauled in a wagon, a folding wagon. So yeah. Not to mention, 3 bikes for the kids. Jeez Louise. Speaking of bikes, to sort of ease the way I've had to haul all this stuff, all last week I've been fortunate enough to have the room in the van to just, shove the bikes in there, just stow away a couple of seats from the 3rd row, and I can put all 3 of the kids' bikes in there, and then on the little sort of stow and go cargo area where that we have available, put everything else. But leading up to this week, yesterday, I received an order. It was actually the day before yesterday. I received an Amazon order, right? By the way, go to ruelsrunning.com. Go to, I think it's probably called Partners page or something like that, and click on the Amazon link there. And yeah, that's my affiliate link. And when you do that, there's a little bit of cookie action going on that says, hey, should you decide to actually buy something on Amazon at that moment, the affiliate link would, take effect, and somehow, some way, I'll get a nickel or 2 from you, doing what you need to do to get what you want to get from Amazon.com. So anywho, yeah, the order came in, and what I ordered was, I finally got around to finding it needful to get a hitch attached to the van. The SUV has a hitch, but a lot of times we're going out and about in the van, not so much in the 4Runner, the SUV. So it's like, okay, so we've been doing a lot of this van action, going to the park to kind of set up the family so that I can do these track runs. And we still have a few good road trips down the road, you know, despite the COVIDity of it all. You know, we like to kind of steal away into a secret hideaway where we're away from people. So why not have a hitch on the vehicle that we likely would want to take on these long drives? So yeah, the hitch came in, and not too bad. What was it, like $140 or something? Not too bad. And I installed it on Sunday. I'm like, God, I gotta get this thing installed, right? Because for the week, I want to be able to take advantage of. We have a bike rack which attaches to a hitch. We've used it in the truck in the past, but I want to be able to use it on the van once the hitch is installed. And, you know, so long story short, I, watched a YouTube video, watched some instruction on how to install a hitch under the van, on the rear underside of the van, no big deal. And then, and it's like, okay, it just kind of, bolts into these parts of the chassis, blah, 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 good to go. Then I realized later on, like, oh, this thing's pretty heavy. Am I going to have to, like, get a couple of jacks to sort of lift this thing up on one end and so I can work on this and that? I didn't think that through. Then I looked at the bolts that came with the hitch. I'm like, okay, I don't have the right sort of socket wrench for this size bolt. Okay, honey, I'm heading over to the hardware store, and I'm gonna go get some tools. So then I found like the right connector for a ratchet wrench sort of deal, right? But my ratchet wrench is, an itty bitty tiny, what is it? Like a 3/4? No, I don't know. What is it? What's the smaller size of the ratchet wrench? So long story short, I had to buy another wrench, which fit the, I guess it was the half inch. Was it half inch? The half inch connector. So I must have had like a smaller connector at home, but I need to buy the bigger wrench, because the bolt, the socket for the bolt, is that the right terminology? Is needs a bigger connector. So I looked at the cost of, okay, I'll buy the connector, whatever the right size attachment for the bolt. I'll buy the right size wrench for the connector for the bolt. But I also need sort of the extender, right? Because I'm going to be working kind of under the muffler, right below the muffler, and trying to bolt something above the muffler. I need to extend that reach, so I have to buy the extender as well. And it's like, oh, gee, look at that. Practically $60 for all that stuff. Just little connector, and then the extender, which comes in a set of 3. I can't just buy the one long one. And then the wrench, like $60. Jeez Louise. It would be cheaper if I bought actually the wrench as a set with a whole bunch of other connectors, and then buy the extender. I'd save $5, and I would have tons of more hard tools, accessories, or whatever you want to call it, components. So I'm like, but I don't need all of these right now. I don't see me needing all of these connectors for this socket set. I don't need a whole socket set of this size, right? Just to save $5. Like, but it just seems like the right thing to do, right? Why would I want to limit my options? Maybe I will need this set of tools down the road, and I'm like any other, dude who's grown up around, role models who use tools and fix stuff, and I like having tools. So it's like, but I'll do what I need to do, and I don't know if I can put it all back together in decent shape. I'll return it and get my money back, get my $55 back. So I bought, long story short, it's kind of stupid. I took the whole ratchet set, right? And the extender. So that's $55. I told myself I'm saving about $5 versus buying just a few pieces. And then I saw a pocket knife. I'm like, oh, I gotta get a pocket knife, which is about $5. So then at the end, I ended up spending $60 anyways, but I walk away with a pocket knife. And I still have the option, I'm pretty sure, of returning the set of tools and getting like $55 back. You know, I don't know. Depends on how lazy or not lazy I am to actually head over back to the hardware store and return the stuff. Yes, it's kind of tacky, but I consider it a rental. And they did make the $5 off of me for that pocket knife, and I'll still come back. So blah blah blah. And you know, I'm okay with this particular hardware store, unlike the Lowe's experience a while back, where some dickhead was a dickhead. So yeah, there you go. Got home, watched another video, and I saw how I'd be able to lift the hitch enough to to install it all by myself. Basically what I needed to do was I needed to lower the muffler to have a little bit more working room. So I just kind of disconnected the muffler from the hanger. You know, I cleaned out the holes where the bolts were going to bolt into, the holes that are on the chassis, the underside of the whatever, you know, using WD-40 and brushing it out and making sure to be able to, you know, put the balls through just to run that through and get it all worked in. And it was kind of cool. Take one side and kind of slide it over the muffler, and it could actually sit on top of the muffler, elevated enough for me to actually go to the other end. You know, and I don't have the vehicle lifted or anything. It's just sitting in the garage, and I'm just having to lay on the garage ground, the floor, while I lift the other end and, you know, place a couple of bolts kind of loosely, but enough to keep it suspended. Then I go over to the muffler side, place a couple of bolts. It takes 3 bolts on each side, but 2 bolts on the other side above the muffler, and then that thing's kind of being lifted on its own. And then I just gonna go back and forth and adding the other bolts, and then, you know, taking my new tool set and tightening those bolts. So, you know, and it looks awesome. You know, I've had the van for quite a while, but now to see it with a hitch, it looks really awesome. It's really cool. So, yeah, I'm kind of proud of myself. But now, most importantly, today was able to mount the bike carrier and put the kids' bikes on and, you know, kind of roll that way. So, pretty pleased. You know, I love the manual work. It's a big change from just having to sit at the computer and kind of spin my wheels. So to be able to get to feel like I'm a mechanic of some sort, getting all grimy and getting under my nails all greasy and dirty and stuff, you know, it's pretty good. Not to mention I have a pocket knife. Ooh, I'm so cool. All right, I'm back. I had to sneak away into a store, buy a few things. One of my kids, and it looks like it might end up being two of the kids like pepperoni, so I had to buy some pepperoni. Who doesn't like pepperoni? I know. Lonnie just gave an answer. Who doesn't like pepperoni? And you're right. What else I get? Had to pick up a nice bottle of Cool Mint Listerine. Who doesn't like a nice large bottle of Cool Mint Listerine? What else did I get? A couple of things of butter, the Listerine, pepperoni. Is that it? I think that was it. Well, I got it. Congratulations, me. I got it. Yeah, so still feeling pretty good about that whole hitch deal. What I did learn is, as I back out, when I have the bike rack hooked up, because it extends out a little bit. I don't know, maybe I don't know, it's a good estimate. Maybe I want to say a foot out from the hitch once it's installed. And when I back out, depending on how I back out, it could, the end of that attachment can make contact with the ground, with the road as it sort of dips just a little bit at the bottom end of the driveway. So I have to either go really slow, which I will do, and also if I have the wiggle room, come at it at a little bit of an angle. But yeah, oh well. So what else is going on? A couple other things before I wrap it up, I suppose. Very important. This is very important. Breaking news. I've learned at this point in time in my life, I am starting to not be too concerned about whether or not my socks match. Weird, right? It's not a choice. It's just complete laziness. What does that mean? Well, I'll have one black sock and I'll have another black sock, but they are not from the same pair. They're kind of woven different. They've got a slightly different pattern. I'm not going to care. Right? And it's kind of like that. Furthermore, what kind of sock I'm wearing might not matter either. For example, early on for a while, I would run specifically in a certain types of socks that I have. In Gingies or some of these Nike these kind of ankle or low cut sort of socks. Or, the equivalent to those sort of sports socks that you can buy at a Target or something. And so now what I'm doing is I'm putting on dress socks, the things that I'd have to put on when I decide to wear really fancy shoes, like the type of shoe that I would wear when I got married, that I wore when I got married, that type of stuff. So sometimes I'm wearing these dress socks, and I have these dress socks on, and I'm wearing my Ultra Lone Peaks, my trail shoes. I don't care. And they don't match. I don't care. Yeah, see, very important. Very important. Okay, yeah. I'm glad I shared that, and I hope that, someone takes that to heart and learns something from that very valuable piece of information, that this guy doesn't care to match his socks much anymore. What's happened in this world? That's happening. And lastly, I cut hair. No, I'm not going to create a website and a podcast about me cutting hair. But, I just realized while I was cutting my son's hair, cutting the hair of my sons? What? Cutting both sons' hairs? How do you say that, guys? I have two sons, and I cut both of their hairs. Their hair. I did haircuts for each son. Jeez Louise. Who's Jeez Louise? I must be an adopted orphaned brother. Jeez Louise. I cut two sons' hair. Yeah. So, anyways, it was at night. It was last night in the garage. Cut the oldest, then I cut the youngest. And I'm like, man, I've been cutting hair since high school. I may have taken a break cutting other people's hair, but I've, ever since I started back sometime in high school cutting my own hair, I've just always been cutting my own hair. I may have hopped into a barbershop or some sort of, salon at least a couple of times since then, and I'm talking about years ago. One was I figured, I just I just feel like if I take myself to a place for someone else to cut my hair, like some mall hair salon or whatever, I was like, cut my hair, I like it this way, blah blah blah. I do it kind of like because I'm lazy to cut it myself. I have the money to spend on it, and I feel like I'm going to treat myself for this experience. And then the other time, I can remember both of these times. The other time, and these were both, again, a very long time ago, I went to a legit barbershop because, I don't know, hair salons, beauty salons, let me put it this way. My uncle and my grandfather worked barber jobs, and they worked at at classic barber shops. With a little spinning sort of candy cane swirly color thing on the outside, and you walk right in, and you've got the barber chairs, not the salon chairs, and and they've got the straps so that you can sort of sharpen or prep your razors, and that whole thing smells of like aftershave and pomade and all of that stuff, right? So I grew up around, when I was in high school, when I didn't cut my own hair and my grandfather was able to and he wanted to, and I'm like, cool, cut my hair, because he cut my hair so neat, so tight, so good, and it just would scare the crap out of me because he would just take a bare blade, double-ended blade, he'd get a little water from the faucet and just kind of wet my skin, and he'll take this blade, and he's like, he must have been like in his 70s or 60s, I don't know, 70s, and he was kind of, stretching my side of my face really tight, so then kind of just shaving, making the fine-tune sort of cleanup, scared the crap out of me. But he got it done, and it feels so uncomfortable. But he got it done, and over time, I got so used to it. And when I was no longer able to get those haircuts because I moved away, and plus he's passed away since, I miss those things. So yeah, I was cutting my boys, and thought about like, wow, I've been doing this for a long time. I did it for friends in high school. They offered to pay. Here I am. Little did I know that little activity would be something I carried over to kind of take care of my own kids. I don't know if it's going to mean anything. I like to think that they're going to grow up at one point deciding like, yeah, it's totally possible to cut my own hair because my dad does it. And I'll do it too. So if ever they get to that point, I'll help them out. I'll give them some pointers, but I had to figure it out on my own. I'm sure they could figure it out on their own. And that's that. That's all I got. Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you on the next episode. Take care. Hug your friends from a distance. Hug your family. Eat something delicious and go run. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.